Hi everyone, my name is Mario Martina, and today I'm just going to show you a quick way of doing parcels that I've kind of found out that works very simply. And here I just laid out with some polylines a couple of lots, assuming this would be an example of like a subdivision. And then towards the end, I added a cul-de-sac with a 50-foot radius, tying into a 25 width road to each side. And basically, the way I kind of lay out parcels, it's the following, starting out with this kind of skeleton base of just polylines of it. Would over to my parcels tab, and then I would create parcels from objects option, which then kind of takes me to the point where it asks me to select either lines, arcs, or polylines that I want to convert. You can go ahead and choose one by one if that one makes things simpler for you to kind of get the whole thing selected. Or as well, you could just kind of highlight everything and just come back and reselect or reorganize the numbering and the sequence of them if it doesn't come out the way you want it to be. In this case, we're going to select one by one so you could see all the parcels that were created. Looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 parcels. Okay, so once they're all selected, we'll press enter. Just let it run. That would pops up the dialog box to create parcels from objects. Under site, you can create different sites. The reason you would want to have different sites is just in case you don't want one set of parcels intervening with the other one, so you could have separate things. Like maybe you have lots against each other, but you don't want anything to do or relate to each other, so you would create a separate site to put them in. Parcel style, basically how your style is going to pop out on the viewing of the parcels. We'll come back to that right now. And as well, you could change the layers you want to come out for the styles or the labels and all that stuff, and change the layer for the segment lines as well in here. You are able to select what kind of area label style, how the name's going to pop out, if you want the name, if you want acreage, if you want it in square feet or whatever designation of the area label you want. You can go ahead and change it here right now. Either select one of the pre-made ones, either name, area, and perimeter, name, square foot, and acres, parcel name, or parcel number. Or you could create a new one, edit it, the one that's there. For now, we're just going to keep parcel number. As well, you could click to automatically add segment labels, and it would automatically, once we press enter, add either whatever labels you want on the segments, like bearing over distance, and if it's a curve, delta, length, radius, whatever you want it to show. There is this option right here in the bottom that says erase existing entities, which basically is going to delete any, like in this case, my polyline work. And sometimes you want to do that because you're just starting to create lines over lines, and it could get a little tedious to figure out which line is what. So I always prefer to delete whatever segments I have. In this case, we are gonna keep it selected, so we'll delete everything and just keep the parcel lines. Go ahead and click OK. And as you see, automatically it shows us each parcel being created, each lot creating into a parcel, and automatically labeled it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way around through 20. Yeah, we should have 20. As well, it automatically created labels for the segments and basically including distance and direction, gives you distance and bearing automatically. And you can go back in and select each one and, change the height, change the font. In the case of wanting to change the label style, what I do, I found easily better to do is just highlight the segment area label style, go down to edit selection label style, and just as we selected in the dialog box, we have the parcel number. We'll go ahead and edit current selection, just so you can get an idea of how things are changed here. So here's the name of our label style composer. We're gonna keep it as parcel number. And under general, you could select the text style. You want something different, go ahead and change it here. You want the visibility of the label, we're gonna keep that true for now. Or sometimes, for whatever reasons you want to display, you want to keep it on or off. The layer, this is something that, I don't know, some people may change, some people may not, but depending on what control you want over the labels. But you could go ahead and change the layer in here. Layout, okay. Under layout, we want to go under text and contents. Right click on those three little divots. And this basically shows us what we have or will be shown as a label style. In this case, parcel numbers added in. So for example, we have parcel numbers and it just displays a number, but let's say we want to describe it as lots. So you go ahead and type in lots for that, and then the parcel number, which would just indicate a general display of the label for all the parcels or lots you want to show. Click enter right here. It gives you different properties options, like the name of it, if you set out a name. For example, one that may be more popular is a parcel area. So in this case, we'll click parcel area, and you could either add it in any one of these units. In this case, we're going to choose acreage with a precision of 0.01. Add it in, and beside it, we're just going to put AC just to reference that unit. We could also, just for demonstration, add a square foot. Same thing for same precision. Add it in, and then we'll have SQFT for square feet. As well, there's many different like even the descriptions that you can add in. For now, we're just gonna add that in so you can see how that interprets into the label files. And then as well, you could change here, the background, like the border. If you want the border to be true, what type of border you want, a rectangular, that one. The background mask, which is somewhat important sometimes for display purposes. And when you drag the labels as well, it lets you know what kind of text height or attachment height or leader you want. For now, we're just gonna keep that as the basic settings. Click OK, and then back to OK. And then now you see how each label is added in and corrected or modified the way we kind of laid it out on the layout tab. So that's on that one. And we do have a scale of 1 to 40 right now. Maybe we want to go back, depending how you want to lay out things and change the text height so it accommodates the scale a little bit better. 1, back to enter. Okay, and that looks a little bit more proportional. The other thing I've always seen is that for each, like in this case, it kind of labeled bearing and distance for each parcel. So we have the same label because this is the line or boundary line that these lot 1 and lot 2 share. So I created a label for each one. They overlap, just, you can just go ahead and delete one if the other one stays there. That one. And then same case on the rest of them. Could come back and delete all of those. As you can see, these are labeled at a southeast direction. Sometimes, for whatever reason, you created it and instead of a southeast, it displays the northeast or northwest direction, or basically your direction is reversed. One way of kind of correcting that or changing that to whatever you prefer is by clicking. Well, one way I found is by clicking on the label, right clicking, and it gives you the option here, reverse label, and it changes. You see it from southeast to northeast. You want to change it back, reverse label again. Or you could just highlight it and over here on the top, it should give you the same option, reverse label. As well as this pretty cool thing, also flip label. It changes the location of the bearing and the distance in case you want to, sometimes you're showing improvements around or, just whatever purpose you want to change it. As well, it automatically created labels for the curves. In this case, it displays the curve right here with, I guess, automatically it brought out the length, radius, and the delta for this segment right here and the ones that are selected. Same thing, if you want to change anything on those labels, you right click. One of the ways I found quicker ways is right click, edit label style. That pops up the parcel curve label style, which we selected delta over length, or if you want to change any to any other one, or if you just want to in general show the distance only, distance over radius, the grade over distance, radius. So there's a couple of things you could do here. Like for example, we just changed that one to radius, and you could same way just select it, right click, and edit label style. It brings you back to that one little pop up. You could edit the selection of that label and basically just kind of like our bearing and distance and our area label style. Go back in and change the contents on it. Like for this one, it just has radius only. We could go ahead and add, more things like overall length, segment start, XYZ, direction for chords, and start and general segment directions, angles, such as tangents, deltas, different things you could add in depending on what you need or what you want to what kind of information you want to display on each one. So that's on the label styles. And another one I want to kind of point out, let's say, for example, you do not want to display any bearings or distances because for sometimes whatever reasons they don't fit on the layout that you have, or you don't want to display that. You want to have like tags on it to create like a label table. Sorry. So one way you could do is, let's say for example, on this lot one, you do not want these labels to be shown. So you want to create some tags for that. And let's include these two right here as well. Okay. So let's say you want to add line 1, line 2, line 3, and line 4. The way I found to do this real quick is go to your annotate tab, add labels, which kind of brings out the adding labels window. Right here, we would go feature our parcels, which would be under parcel right here. And then it gives you the option to select a single segment or multiple segments. For these purposes, we're just going to select a single segment at a time since we're just doing 4 of them. And then under here, we want to select just that it gives us the tag only. Sometimes they're pre-made and you can just select it and add it in. I don't see one right here, so we're gonna create one, which is good. And then it may give you this option, but let's create one. So based on this one, we're gonna create a copy of the current selection, which opens our next window. Right here. Right here. So let's name this one tags for line segment. And you can name it whatever you feel it's more appropriate to yourself. And right here, you can come back in and select whatever label style, whatever kind of text style, I guess, you would prefer or have as your standards. And label, same thing. So what we want to go into, before we leave there, our display mode currently is a label. So we want to show tags. So we change this to a tag. You can see this on the preview. It changes this to line and whatever number line that is. So basically that changes our label to a tag. And here you could change the text size, whatever you want on it around it. So we're going to click OK. We changed it now. So right here, our line label style is our tags line segment that we created. We're going to go ahead and click Add, and then go ahead and select whatever line we want. Okay, so now, okay, we can exit out of this one. We have our line 1, line 2, line 3, and line 4. And for those purposes, we could create a table for these. Instead of displaying the whole bearing and direction, we'll display just the line tag. So I like that because it saves you a lot of space when you're doing like a layout and something on paper, on your layout 1, layout 2, whatever you're presenting. So having that, we would go to our lines and curves and add tables. And here we would like, in this case, we would add a line table. Now here it lets you select what information you want to display on that table. And for this one, we should look up our line segments that we created. Or sometimes, it just lets you, depending on what you want to display, you should be able to find it here and create it. Come back to our parcels, and yeah, under parcels, we would add a table, add a line table, these tags right here. And under table creation that pops up, we would search for our table or label styles that we created, which should be the tags. Here it is. You remember general line tag segment. We'll highlight that one to add it in. Then on the right side of the table, it would let you select how many maximum rows per table you want or how many maximum tables per stack. In this case, we only have 4, so it wouldn't split the table unless we add like 2 and 2 on each one. So, when you have a lot of line tags, you could kind of separate the table into how many rows per table you want or how many tables per stack you want. And right here, it just lets you edit like the offsets between them and kind of dimensions throughout it, which is something, you could come back and kind of figure out what size and stuff you want. So we would keep these like that. We only have 4 of them in this case and click OK. After that, I'll let you just kind of select the place you want to set it out. And here's our table. So on our table, it displays our line number, and then for each one, our length and direction. Like for example, line 1, we have length 225, northing, easting, bearing direction. And this is one quick way of kind of find out of doing that. If you want to go ahead and edit any of the table styles, you could just right click, edit label style. And right here, it could let you add new columns with new information. Just basically, the way you could do it is in whatever in between you want to have them, whatever position, you just click the add button and lets you bring in a new column, which in this case, it brought it in over here. And it lets you select the name for, like, for example, right here, we could create a new column that kind of tells us our, let's see, let's say, for example, you don't have length. We add in length, click OK, so that describes our column, kind of like our title. And then over here, double click and add whatever information you want on that for that column. So for example, we could click length, we would add segment length, whatever unit and position you want, you add it in. And you could even add like feet, so identify or whatever you prefer, You click OK. And as you can see, well, it already had one for this example, but you could create one like this last one that we just created. So that's one way of adding information to your table. So I guess we don't need that last one, so we'll just click undo a couple of times and undo that last one. Okay, and you could change the as well. Select, right click, and edit the text height, the whatever style you want. You could even change the layers of whatever segments of the table you want. And then edit table style. And same thing right here. Table style, the heights. For example, I'll make that bigger just for that, and then make that smaller just so you could see some changes in that. Click OK. And it should change. See, now it changed it. I think it looked pretty good as as what it had. So we'll undo those. And that's one quick way I've kind of found of making a quick layout of whatever, either like a subdivision or whatever lots or parcels you want to show or display, and just kind of add in labels or even a table with tags and all that good stuff. So that's kind of how I figured it out. So let me know if you have a better way or something works better for you. Thank you very much.